Thank you for the great presentations. Our final presentation before the Q&A panel is on the Cell and Gene Therapies Discussion Group by Dr. Kathleen Francissen, Global Head of Cell and Gene Therapy Regulatory at Genentech Roche Group. Please join me to welcome Dr. Francissen.
It's a pleasure to provide you with an update on the Cell and Gene Therapy Discussion Group. My name is Kathleen Francissen, and I'm the Global Head of Regulatory for the PT Cell and Gene Therapy Organization at Roche Genentech. I'd like to describe the rather newly formed Cell and Gene Therapy Group, provide the rationale for its formation, outline the scope of our work, and describe the deliverables in the work plan today. The formation of the Cell and Gene Therapy Discussion Group was proposed by the Biotechnology Innovation Organization and was adopted by ICH last August. I serve as the rapporteur of the group representing Bio. I have the privilege of working with Dr. Melanie Eco of FDA CDER. She's the regulatory chair of the group. We held our kickoff meeting last October, and our work plan was endorsed in December. This is a technical discussion forum rather than an expert working group, so our remit and deliverables are a bit different than the expert working groups you've heard about. Rather than revising an ICH guideline, we discuss scientific and technical issues related to ATMP development, and our ultimate deliverable is a strategic roadmap rather than a revised guidance. As mentioned, Bio proposed the formation of the discussion group based on the size and impact of the ATMP field, which has seen tremendous advances in the recent several years. There are now numerous clinical trials that are being conducted increasingly globally. In our database search, there are approximately 1,400 active ATMP clinical trials around the world. And in terms of the product modalities being evaluated, the largest number of clinical trials are with CAR T-cell products, followed by AAV-based gene therapy products. And it was estimated that approximately 5,800 patients have been dosed with AAV gene therapies, and about 38,000 patients have been dosed with CAR T-cell products. This includes both clinical studies and dosing with commercial product. So this is just one indicator of the size and magnitude of the cell and gene therapy field today. As mentioned, ATMP clinical trials are increasingly global. The largest number of studies are being conducted in the US, followed by Asia Pacific, and then Europe. There is also increasingly global commercialization, with an estimated 104 products approved globally, and more products being approved in multiple countries or regions. To date, FDA CDER has approved 27 gene therapy products, including both in vivo and ex vivo gene therapy products. Applying the current ICH guidelines for traditional biologics does not fully address the unique characteristics of ATMPs and can even cause some additional challenges. The development of ATMPs can be uniquely complex across the disciplines, including non-clinical and clinical, and manufacturing and quality development. There are unique circumstances posed during the development of cell and gene therapy products. So it's important now to converge on a science-based regulatory framework across all the regions to make clear the development and commercialization requirements for these innovative products. With the ICH Management Committee's endorsement of forming the discussion group, our overall aim is to develop a strategic framework to address future harmonization needs for ATMPs. The roadmap should include prioritized areas of most need for harmonization where we can reach technical consensus, and it will include specific recommendations for new guidelines to be developed as needed or revisions to existing ICH guidelines. We were also asked to work in close coordination with the IPRP and the World Health Organization to ensure a holistic approach to harmonization efforts and to minimize any duplication of effort. We were also asked to advise existing expert working groups who are working on guidelines where ATMPs are in scope. For example, in December, we were asked to review the ATMP annex for the ICH Q1, Q5C expert working group on stability, and we completed this in January, answering their key questions and doing a detailed line-by-line review of the annex. We anticipate advising more expert working groups going forward as they encounter ATMP topics. Our initial work for the Cell and Gene Therapy Discussion Group is focused on product modalities of rather high maturity, meaning classes of products that have achieved global marketing authorization or have been prominent in global clinical development programs. These essentially include in vivo viral vector-based gene therapy products and ex vivo genetically modified cells, including both autologous and allogeneic products. The work plan reflects the milestones outlined in the REMIT paper, and we have efforts on several milestones and deliverables taking place in parallel. I'll briefly highlight the deliverables here and then say a bit more on the following slides. So our deliverables include a high-level principles document, a global regulatory framework where we level set or build a common understanding of the current framework, identify areas of divergence and harmonization in regulatory expectations, and then do a stepwise review of the existing ICH guidelines for their applicability to ATMPs. Ultimately, we then generate a holistic or a comprehensive ATMP roadmap and roll all of this up together in a recommendation paper. We're currently discussing the maturity level of these products, which are generally not considered to be well characterized, but are considered to be sufficiently mature for harmonization. We have also begun work on the high-level principles document, which you could think of as describing what makes ATMPs different from other pharmaceuticals and biotech products. In addition, in order to build a common understanding of the existing global regulatory framework for ATMPs, we compiled guidelines from across the regions, and we now have a draft global map that contains about 400 documents. This map simply gives us a broad view and hopefully an appreciation for the breadth and complexity of the regulations that need to be navigated. We've reviewed this global map with the regulators in the group and are scheduling interagency meetings amongst the regulators where they can discuss the areas that are already harmonized, identify areas of divergence or gaps, and compile the information and the perspectives that they gain. Meanwhile, we've also begun gathering the industry perspective to see where there is, say, a Y in the road, so to speak. The trade associations are scheduled to meet and align on how best to gather the information, such as a survey of the member companies, where we can then gather the experience that developers encounter while they're conducting global clinical trials or bringing ATMPs to market in multiple regions globally. So the inter-association meeting this month will include Bio, FPIA, IFPMA, JPMA, and Pharma to gather this information. Importantly, we will bring the perspectives of the regulators and the developers together when we collectively discuss the identified areas for harmonization and their priority. This is really a key step in identifying the topics for harmonization, their readiness for this, and their priority based on the collective experience of the discussion group members. Indeed, this group includes many experts with extensive experience with ATMPs, and I'm looking forward to this evaluation. Once this is consolidated, This will all come together to essentially create a lens for our examining the existing ICH guidelines, which will really be quite valuable since actually we will be evaluating all of the ICH guidelines across all the disciplines, including quality, safety, efficacy, and multidisciplinary for their applicability to ATMPs. And according to our page count, there are about 2,000 total pages of ICH guidelines. So having this lens will be very helpful in our doing a strategic assessment. Once we've conducted our assessment of the current guidelines, we will identify areas that most need harmonization and will recommend priorities for revisions to existing ICH guidelines and or new guideline developments as needed. This should then create a staggered approach to be used rather than trying to address all of the needs at once. Finally, we plan to prepare a recommendation paper that will summarize the high-level principles and these prioritized recommendations for revisions to the existing guidelines and or new guidelines. And this deliverable is due in October of next year. Our plan is to submit this to the ICH Management Committee for review and endorsement at that time. So this, in a nutshell, is the ambitions for ATMP regulatory harmonization through ICH. And you can find our remit paper and our endorsed work plan on the ICH website under Reflection Papers tab. You should also be able to find it at the link that I've provided in the slide here. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to take any questions.